Okay, everyone. And as the title of this video is going to be, well, first of all, I'm your soul brother Talib, who you best know from Operation Exodus Mississippi, aka Reality Temple on Earth, with our number one soul brother host, Angel Snup Snup 7. Okay, and then with that said, the title is going for this video is going to be Welcome from the Hard Land of America. Yes, the hard land of America. And when I speak about the hard land of America, I'm not just talking about the typical Midwest, like, my home state, Michigan, Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio. I'm talking about like Missouri, Kansas, Nebraska. You get what I'm saying. Iowa, stuff like that. But however, as I speak from here on this platform that I represent, I must say that in the midst of this ongoing counting of the presidential election between Joe Biden and the incumbent Republican president Donald Trump, and of course Joe Biden, the Democrat nominee who is running against him, is seemingly looking in his direction as far as him winning this election. It's looking likely that he's going to win this election now. With that said, and this is not even about that. Basically, what I'm saying is that you know, as you saw the big turnout of all them voters, uh, you know, that voted for Donald Trump. And I ain't just talking about Caucasian or your typical right wing racist, white supremacist Caucasians either. I'm talking about even the black voters, the Latino voters, and anybody else that voted for him. You know, and the reason I mentioned that in one whole nutshell is because I'm piecing together what I'm going to say in this, quick short video concerning that. You know, first of all, the way that they said that Biden was leading in the polls prior to the exact election day, which was yesterday, November 3rd of this year, 2020, people were expecting him to beat Trump by a landslide. But of course, with the showing of all the voting support that Trump got, even to this point, we see what kind of country that we're in. And for those of you who cannot clearly see that, uh, you know, in my honest opinion, you're better off dead. And I don't mean to sound like a, asshole or, you know, a sarcastic, you know, idiot. But I'm just saying, the truth of the matter is you might as well just consider yourself dead with that type of mentality. Knowing what this man that's still currently in office in the White House has done for the past 4 years as far as, destroying this country. And of course, sowing the seeds of racial hatred and divide. Of course, that was already there prior to his coming, but he just sparked that fire. And now, with all the voters that came out and showing him support, especially mainly his, white Caucasian support base, well, you know, it has showed that basically their thinking is like this: we don't care, even if he destroys this country and just let it burn down to nothingness. We're going to still stand behind him and support him and try to make sure that in attempt he get reelected. Okay. Once again, with that said, and another thing too, we're gonna make sure that he get reelected because we don't want to see nobody that don't resemble a Caucasian or somebody that don't look like us, especially and that don't think like us, have anything. You know, we want to make sure that they keep the unquote N words down, keep the unquote N words in their place, and any other so-called person of color living in this country, but especially those who I refer to as dark-skinned descendants of slaves born in America. Okay, and that's where the mindset of the typical white Trump voter is. That is the typical mentality of the white Trump supporter. And as we see with the back and forth struggling in this election, you know, and with the close call in this election, although like I say now, Joe Biden is looking like he's going to you know, win the presidency. But the thing about it is that just look at how shaky this election race has been all throughout since especially yesterday, you know, and even up to the point when they started counting the absentee votes, you know. And with that again said, we need to understand clearly what kind of country we're living in. We need to understand and realize that there is definitely two different Americas, like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. would once say. We are existing in two different Americas, and that's just a fact, you know. And although no disrespect attended to the late Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and may he still rest in peace as always, along with the rest of the ancestors. But I must say that his dream and hopes of wanting to see this society as a true uh, utopia as far as real justice and freedom and equality go is looking more impossible than ever. You know, in the midst of this part of our present history right now in our country, in this country, rather to say, excuse me, in this country, you know, and I must say that you know, it is so divided now that, and it's clear because with Trump's coming, it showed just how divided the country is on racial lines and on other different division or rather divisive lines, than people thought. And people thought that we were actually in post-racist America, even especially after Barack Obama got elected as the first black president, as they say, you know, which that turned out to be a disappointment reality. And so, again, right behind him with the coming of this guy, Donald Trump, who's looking to be now at this point, according to the election results still pending, another lame duck president, brother, in the thing of, the past, at least as far as in politics in America is concerned, you know, uh, we're looking at a situation that's going to get worse. I mean, this is kind of like the tipping point of it. And to those of you that are dark-skinned descendants of slaves born in America, should have been prepared for this, you know, a long time ago. People like myself, number one soul brother Angel Snup Snup 7, warned you that any right given opportunity of time, especially with the climate, racial unrest in this country being concerned, that these people could take this opportunity, especially like with this COVID thing, and turn it completely into something else different, which would eventually lead to us being the main targets like it's always been. I don't care what kind of wars this country has been in, what type of other pandemic this country has been in, whether it was the Great Depression of the 1930s, almost 100 years ago. It was all, the first to blame was black people, and that's a fact. And with the coming of Trump, you could hear the emboldened message in that coming straight from so-called white America, you know. And like I said, you know, this is looking in the direction of being a tipping point to where we might even end up probably seeing a race riot jump off, a race war jump off, along with other things that could trigger a serious civil unrest in this country, which will be definitely worse, much worse than the Civil War that supposedly was based on freeing the so-called American Negro slave from the chattel slavery of, a couple of centuries ago. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said before, we are in this very delicate situation right now. And, because we would not come together, at least as a collective view, starting with to try to get this Mississippi campaign off the ground, where we, as whatever we would like to call ourselves, African Americans, Black Americans, Muslims, Hebrews, Christians, whatever you may call yourself, where we would be able to be quarantined in the sense of quarantining, meaning protected within a settlement structure as we take control of a state like Mississippi, but it continuously fall on deaf ears. Don't know one hardly take it serious because of fear. You know, really, you ain't got nothing to lose, especially being a dark skinned person of soul in America. You know, as far as us as dark skinned descendants of slaves born in America concerned, we really don't have nothing to lose whether we realize it or not, because anything we have materialistically, this government has the power to take that, you know. And trust me, if this cat could have his way right now, as this election process is still going on, he could sabotage the election, which would forcefully wake people up to understand that we never lived in a democratic society as that myth has been told for so much long. Well, just the fact that he got elected and just the fact that he got people up under him doing all kind of lawless stuff in politics, you know, and just getting away with all kind of crazy stuff, including, hundreds of children dying in immigration detention facilities, you know, uh, you know, unaccounted parents who got deported, you know what I'm saying, can't even be found, and I'm talking about parents of children that's still being incarcerated in these immigration detention centers right now under the watch of this Donald Trump guy, you know. I mean, and we talking about 200 children that have died in custody, which definitely is supposed to call for criminal charges. We talking about the fact that Donald Trump, in the way that he literally and intentionally handled this COVID-19 pandemic crisis in this country, allowed over 200 some thousand people to die. It also need to be a criminal, legal criminal transparency dealing with that situation there, because but this is the type of nation that we're in. So, I mean, anything can be expected when it comes to corruption. And like I said, they could use that to seize the opportunity, especially when it come to us as dark-skinned descendants of slaves born here in America, and take us, like me and someone have always warned you about, and haul us off to concentration camps like they did the European Jews in Nazi Germany, and you know what I'm saying, and just be done. You know, throw us right in the gavel and on top of each other and just be done. You know, I mean, we forgot they always still had a plan for us. And remember one thing, when Trump said he had a plan for the African American and for the Black American, y'all should have took heed to that. This is when he was first running for president in 2016, the first time. Y'all should have took heed to that. Y'all quickly forgot about that. See, let me help you remember what he meant by that. When he was speaking about the African American, he wasn't talking about the indigenous so-called African American who was born here as a descendant of slaves born in this country. He was talking about the African immigrants coming from the continent that's presently known as Africa. That's who he was talking about when he said he had a plan for African Americans. Then when he went on and proceeded after that to say he had a plan for the Black Americans, then he was talking about us once again. as cause who I preferably call dark skinned descendants of slaves born in America. See, he differentiated that to make it clear for those who had an understanding to catch on to what he meant. So in other words, he telling you right there, it's two different type of so-called dark-skinned people, groups of dark-skinned people in this country that I have a plan for. Now, ask yourself this question. The plan that he had for the African American, and I'm talking about once again, speaking of those dark skinned immigrants that come from the continent, do you see them much complaining about anything? Even the tumultuous police brutality that happens in this country every day toward so called people of color? Do you hear about them complaining? Do you see that many of them in the streets with us or with Black Lives Matter movement? Or, helping us to toil in our cause just so we can have some equality from this racism? Think on that. Think on that. I mean, just think on that. And, but however, we need to understand one thing, and this is nothing against even African immigrants, okay? But the reality of the situation in dealing with the terms of the truth is that they give them more preference over us as an indigenous dark-skinned people from this country because they know coming from them, they don't have to worry about the issue about the possibility or the probability of them having to one day pay reparations for all the sweat and blood and toil that our ancestors had to go through for over 300 years during chattel slavery or the Jim Crow days of oppression, the lynchings and all that, the burning down of Black Wall Street, the burning down of Rosewood and all that. They don't have to, worry about that when they're dealing with them. But when they dealing with us, they have to worry about that. That's in the event that we rise up to take our liberation. See, that's what they got to worry about. So what they doing is they allow them in this country, give them preference over us in a lot of ways we don't even realize. You know what I'm saying? And of course, off the backs of our ancestors' civil rights struggle. But hey, we just totally ignore all that. See, we ignore all them implications of what's happening. You know, and the reality of the situation is that now we have everybody at our throats. You know, our struggle is not the same with the African, the Latino, or the Latinx, whatever they call themselves, or the West Indians, or you know what I'm saying, or the Asians. You know, their struggle is quite different from ours. You don't see them getting killed profusely in the streets by the police day in and out like you see indigenous dark-skinned ones from this country getting made or murdered and and just killed like dogs or shot down and beat down like dogs in the streets of America. So my thing is this here is that we got to understand the truth of the whole matter. It's not about creating division, it's about telling the truth. And the best way that could be told at this point right now, because we are in a serious situation to whereas if we don't unite and if we don't try to come up with some way to where we can be allies with the Africans, with the Hispanics, and so forth on, then we definitely done. Because it's only, what, 44 some million of us? And even if we cannot even get, and even if, you know, we refuse and push away potential Caucasian allies, then we definitely done. So we need them all. But we don't have no base or type of unity foundation to even warrant that. Don't nobody want to have nothing to do with a divided people. You know what I'm saying? It maybe might have been that way, might have been different when, you know, we had leaders like Malcolm X who was going overseas, going to Africa, talking to you know, African heads of state, and they was willing to get on board with us in our cause toward liberation, true liberation, you know, but that went out the window because of the increasing incompetency of our indigenous black American leadership in this country, as we could see today. And so with that said, you know, I really cannot you know, fathom what might come next. The best part right now at this moment as I'm speaking is that, and I'm not saying it's going to be no different even if Joe Biden go on and take this you know, election and win, but it'll be a slow up process from what Trump had planned, at least, where we will have a chance to do what we need to do to get ourselves together, to be able to unite on a common strong front to where we can put some protection around us as a people. Us, our women, our children, you know, our elderly, you know, because right now black people ain't got no type of you know, protection or sense of community, you know. That's the what you call communities and, you know, New York, Detroit, Chicago, Atlanta, New Orleans, Baltimore, Newark, New Jersey. It's not communities. Those is jungles, you know. Those are war zone jungles, you know, because a lot of us are killing each other constantly, even as I speak right now, you know. When I even look sometimes online to check out what's happening in different parts of the country, especially the metropolitan areas, you know, it's like, man, what the hell? You know, in all the midst of this pandemic, racial unrest, even after the George Floyd situation, you still got black people just killing each other like this. You know, we don't have, I mean, man, you know, and so my thing is that, you know, this is why I don't have no, you know, even though I, would rather remain here to try to make something happen with us as a people to where we can have a better, at least a better future light at the end of the tunnel far as our existence in this nation. But I'm telling you, man, this is this stuff here that's going on is, and I'm just speaking for myself. I'm not speaking for no one else, okay? And nor do I speak for anyone else on this platform in this sense, okay? But I'm still thinking about, you know, how can I possibly get the hell out of America safely, you know, right now. Because, I mean, and plus, if Trump, let's say if Trump definitely lose this election after all the voting counts is over with and the process, and even with this crap now that he's trying to file a lawsuit, files in the state of Michigan and Wisconsin, where Joe Biden is leading that now, you know, to have a so-called vote recount and all that bull crap, Well, get ready also, like he told his supporters, especially his main supporters, the white supremacist right-wing supporters, to stand by. And right now, they fully locked and loaded to that point where not only they gonna stand by, but they gonna start making moves out here in these streets. I see the potential, the propensity and potential of it happening right where I'm at, right here in the heartland of America, which is definitely Trump country. You know, no mistake in that. But I must say that you know, we got to do what we got to do to protect ourselves, each other, and our families, even in this sense. Because again, the first one they gonna blame is the so-called Negro American or dark-skinned person of soul, which I preferably call us by it. But like I said, this is what we're faced with. We are in a totally divided nation, and it's more now out there to be seen crystal clearly, you know. And I don't know no more or no way to put it as that we are in a serious situation that we could. I mean, if we don't do something right now for our own best interest as a group of people, as indigenous or black Americans, then we're done. We're done. Their mission is completed as far as the process of elimination is concerned. And I'm just, I don't care about your material gain, your wealth. You are still the N word. Remember that. Always remember that. And you do have the resources for those of you that do have some wealth and material gain to be able to help resource wise and helping us to get this Mississippi campaign off the ground. You know, you're gonna be hit the worst. You gonna fall the hardest of all the rest of the population of the 44 million of indigenous black Americans. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, take your pick. You know what I'm saying? You want to remain comfortable here with the races or suffer and die. That's just the bottom line to that. And I mean, I want to send a shout out to those indigenous black American expats or expatriates who are repatriated in other parts of the world. I always, sometimes, I still acknowledge them, even though I don't agree with some of their views on social media and stuff. But I applaud them and I salute them because they had sense enough to say, well, look, if I'm not serving no purpose being black in America for real, as far as for the betterment of us all as 44 plus million dark skinned descendants of slaves, then I might as well just, get the hell on out the way. And that's what they did. And that's why I salute them. And I'm not going to judge them. I'm not going to call them cowards, as some would, you know, because they had sense to get the hell up out of here. Especially, And those are some of the ones that even seen what was coming, like what was happening now in this country. And I should have even when I thought I knew something, I should have took that same initiative. And I'm not saying it may not be too late either. Okay, but I just, want y'all to know this is a warning as I welcome you from the heart of America once again, and peace.